go, guys. So I've got my metal finally, so I can start making the mount for the CV shaft. So basically what I got to do is I've got to make this. I got to make that as a template. So I can then cut it out of this. And then I'm going to make 2 tabs that come off of it. One is going to come down this way a little bit. One's going to come down this way a little bit. To hit these mounts right here on this CV shaft. After I get those on, I'm going to add a couple gussets because, yes, I will admit, this ain't real thick. But I don't think my welder can really handle welding anything thicker. And the last one I built out of metal that was just slightly thicker than this. And one of the tabs welded onto it was not thick at all. It was slightly thicker than regular sheet metal, and it held just fine for, I believe it's going on 6 years now, and it's still fine. So, for what I need to do, I think this is going to work okay. If I was going to try to make more power with it than the, like, 220-some horse this has got, and 230-ish foot-pound of torque, I do believe. And I think that's before it goes through the transmission, if I remember correctly. So it's not like, this is not a monster. It is a lot for a Corolla. But that being said, it's not. This is a very typical 90s hot rod is what it's going to be. It is not going to be fast by any means by today's standards. But if you were building this back in, you know, the late 90s, early 2000s, this would have been a decently quick car for an import. Words. So yeah, so I think this is going to work just fine because I think this is, what is it here? This is a 16 gauge, so it's not super thick, but it's not exactly the thinnest stuff in the world either. So I think it'll be okay, especially once I add some gussets and stuff to it. So. All right, I am going to get to making the template, and then we'll go from there. Okay, just so we are all on the same page with this, I am not a fabricator. So don't get your hopes up for skills, because it's not going to happen. But as you can see, that kind of matches that, at least in a way that's important. So I left a little extra here instead of cutting it straight across, because somewhere in here is where this ear will go, and somewhere down here, probably come down to about here, is where the second ear is going to go, and then I'm going to have to figure out how I'm gusseting them from there, which is going to be interesting, I think. I know this one first. This one will be easy. This one's going to be the hard one. All right. Next thing is to find my grinder and start cutting. All right. With as much as I'm sure you guys would have enjoyed watching me do that, I saved me from myself, because as you can see of how well I had that cut out. I didn't record it because I knew it was going to be a bit of a hack job getting it cut out of there. and then cleaning it up. And I know me, I oversized every hole because, well, I knew not a damn one of them was going to line up perfectly. And I was correct. If they were not oversized and they were the exact size, every hole, I would have got 1 bolt in, not 4. So, it is what it is. But it'll work for now. Or forever. Whichever one comes last. The next thing is going to be, I am going to simply just make me a triangle. I'm going to drill a hole in it, cut it out, and then just start kind of with the axle and lining it up to see what I need to cut off of it and what I need to do from there in order to get it to line up with here, hopefully near the top of this, so I can then gusset it easier later right along that edge. I will bring you guys back when there's something to show you. Well, I got one of the mount brackets done, and yes, I am filming it from a distance for a reason. My welds are terrible. Especially the one on the front side here. I am not letting you guys see that one at all. I'm, a matter of fact, going to go grab a grinding disc tomorrow morning and make that one go away because I'm that unhappy with it. And anyone that zooms in to look at my welds, I'd like to remind you that is the first I have really welded in, probably well over a year, if not longer. And I've never been a consistent welder. So I am less of a welder and more of a, I can stick 2 pieces of metal together. As well as I am not a fabricator. And I am doing this with a hobo freight welder. I'm not doing it with good equipment at all. And my backup option is a Campbell Hosfield stick welder, which, if I remember correctly, is a Walmart brand. So, be gentle if you're going to talk crap about my welds, please. Because I know they're bad, but they're holding. I smacked it around with a hammer. The plate itself wants to bend more than the actual bracket does. So, I'm not too worried. I got one more weld to do on it, but I'm going to have to take it off before I do that one. And before I unbolt the whole thing, I want to go ahead and get the bottom one figured out, which is going to be a bit more of a challenge. So, wish me luck. Alright, it's together. It ain't pretty, but it should work for what I need it to do. Yeah, part of me is a bit concerned with how thin it is, but at the same time, it'll be fine. The first couple drives, I will keep a close eye on it, make sure everything's okay. No, the welds are god-awful. Trying to get the welder in there, barely being able to see, did not help any. Because most of that I had to weld in place on the engine, so I could actually see what I was doing. Or so I actually knew I had it lined up. So, that's why we give her a coat of black paint. That'll hide some of the ugly. It'll be okay. One of the next things you guys see will probably be it. Back on the engine to get it around to go back in the car. But right now, I gotta let the paint dry first. Before we get the engine in the car today, I really need to get the 8.6 in. And I really need to do the front end alignment. Oh, excuse me, guys. I got the doors shut, and it's a little fumey in here. Matter of fact, we're going to go and get out of here. One of the next things I need to do is get this out of the garage, get the 8.6 in the garage, and lower the front passenger side corner. So, because it is not quite a 1/4 of an inch higher on the passenger side front wheel than it is the driver's side front wheel. So, and I never noticed that until the other day. I measured them and went, huh, well, that needs fixed. So, excuse me, guys. I can't talk very well in the mornings because my throat and my lungs are still trying to get along. And after everything with the birds, it doesn't exactly work all that great. So, yeah. I want to get that done. Might pull that in for a valve adjustment today, too. We'll see how it goes. I'd like to have the engine in the car by the end of the night, though. All right, time for food. Okay, we got the mount bolted back onto the engine, so this is more or less just about ready to go in. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get the rear header on before I start getting it around to drop it back onto the cross member to bolt on. But before I mess with any of that, since I've discovered that the right height is off on this, and that front passenger side corner is quite a bit higher than this driver's side corner, I'm going to deal with this first. I'm going to get that done because we're going to a wedding this weekend, and I think we're driving this there because I think all four of us can fit in it at this point. And it gets 34, 35 miles to the gallon if I don't drive like a dickhead, which is at least 10 miles to the gallon better than the van and 15 miles to the gallon better than the truck on a good day, if not 20 miles to the gallon better than the truck. So I want to have this leveled out so it's not acting as weird on the highway, because it's had this weird thing on the highway where I can feel it like kind of shift side to side when I get on and off the throttle, and I think that's because of the right height difference. So yeah, so I want to get that fixed so we can drive this weekend. But then we'll be back onto this. With as hot as it is, I don't know if this is happening while there's still daylight out. It might wait till it's dark. We'll see. But this needs done right now. Then I think this needs washed. This needs washed too, because it is dusty. All right, I'll set you guys up and we'll get started. Well, after a few minutes looking at it and messing with it, could not get everything to break free. And the more I tried, the more I got curious of other things. So I got the measuring. Everything seems to be the same as far as the coilovers goes, side to side. Even when I went like this, well, now I can only get a finger in over here. Let's see if it's the same over here still. Yeah, no, I can only get a finger in over here. So, visually, it doesn't really look that different. So, like, I don't get where my height difference is side to side. I don't know if it's just maybe the way I'm measuring it, and I'm not getting it dead center enough, and that's causing it, or what. But the coilovers measure out the same. So I have not changed anything from the way I had it. I'm just going to leave it the way it is, and it's something's messing with my head with it. I don't know what, and I don't know why. I've rolled it back and forth. Everything should measure the same, but it doesn't, and I don't know why. Same goes with the back. So I'm not sure what's causing it, but it's not worth fighting with coilovers to get everything to adjust when it doesn't want to. Again, I'm not even sure why they don't want to, because there's not really any rust on any of it. I mean, they've been on the car since November of 2019, but the car's only got just shy of 4,000 miles on it, and there's not really any rust on them. There's rust on the end-link bolts, but there's no rust on the coilovers themselves. So yeah, I'm just kind of not going to worry about it. I'm going to check the air pressure in the tires again later, and I'll probably wash it tomorrow, and that'll be it. But that being said, I have not done anything else with anything else. I kind of took a break for the day. Let's go in the garage. Oop, lights on. I think we're gonna go and open the door too. Whew, it's a little hot in here. So since we couldn't get anything done with that, I am going to do a quick cleanup of some things to move some stuff around, and we'll go ahead and get the header on the back of the engine So from there, we can start figuring out getting it back onto there. Actually, might pull this out from underneath the car tonight, considering it's covered in yellow overspray. I'll probably shoot that black again tonight, and we'll get the engine mounted to it tomorrow. I know I keep saying we'll do it today, and now it ain't happening today. It'll happen tomorrow, and then we will get it into the car. I also need to put a fitting on here. Oh, damn it. I bent up my line too much. But need to get a flared fitting put on there. That is for the clutch master cylinder to go to the slave cylinder. And I will admit I am a little worried about getting it into the car, because there is one thing I am concerned about. And that is, see if I can show you. See if I can hold it and show it to you while it's setting here. I am worried about how far this header sticks off the engine and it actually fitting. The stock one, while it does come out this way a little bit, does not stick off of the head nearly as far. So there is a mild bit of concern that it's not going to work. And if it don't work, that's going to bring a whole host of other issues with it. It might honestly turn into I try running two front, because I have two fronts. Those are both rears. Over here, I have another. At least I should. I hope I do. Yeah. Can't see it at the moment, but it's on there. I have two front exhaust manifolds. And that's because I know for a fact that these exhaust manifolds, the stock rears, get in the way of the transmission mount. Because that manifold wants to be here. The stock one does. It kicks way over. Versus this one, which, other than us deleting the EGR port, clears. Just barely, but it clears. So, that's why I want to swap to those instead of the stock exhaust manifolds. They're not really going to make me any extra power, especially on a stock tune. So, I'm not worried about that part. They were literally it works with these. So, yeah, so I'm hoping I'm not going to run into issues with it hitting the firewall. Part of me says if it hits the firewall, I want to take the time, move the proportioning valve up here, up higher, and reroute the brake lines to it, because I would rather dent in that firewall almost, I think, than not use those headers that I spent very good money on. If not, then I would legitimately almost debate on buying another vehicle that I know these will work with, just to use them. Maybe at that point I would build myself a minivan. Ooh, there's an idea. Build me a minivan. Maybe I'll build me a minivan. There we go. V6 5-speed minivan? No, I don't need it. I don't need it. Stop myself right there, right here, right now. But yeah, all right. I'm going to throw you guys in the tripod here in a minute after I get some cleaning done, because I know you guys don't want to see any more cleaning. I do it every video. And then I'll show you guys me getting the header on, and we'll start thinking about getting her down here on this. I should probably go ahead and get the old, should get that cleaned up for starters, and get the one off of the other engine. So that's done before it's in the car. That's something else I need to do. I hadn't really put much thought into. All right, I got a plan. Time to start doing it. there we go. Some of the other stuff you saw me doing was this was the mount for the power steering bracket that I'm obviously not going to use because I'm not going to have power steering on the car. And this is the remnants of the old EGR system that will not work with the intake that I have for the car. Because there is a couple different styles of intakes that come on this. The one I'm using being this one right here, the dual throttle body setup, has no spot here for the EGR like the factory one would have. Right there. Of course, I could put the factory one on and hook the EGR up, but we've already deleted it on the header. And if I run a front header, the rear header is the one that has it on it. So again, I would not have anywhere for the EGR to hook up to anyway. So at that point, it would just be a big intake leak. So yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. That covers the bases that I need covered. If for some reason it does not want to run right with the dual throttle body setup, I do have a single throttle body setup, and I will just have to put a block off plate on the EGR hole in that intake. So either way, it's the same 3-wire MAP sensor, or MAF sensor, or no, same 3-wire TPS sensor. There we go. But yeah, there we go. I think at this point I am legitimately ready to get it down off the table. Other than, well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get this done first, which means I got to get it off of the parts motor over there, and hopefully that's not a big fight, because man, I'm not up for that tonight. So all right, let's go see if we can get that off. Well, it's on. I went to start recording doing that whole disaster, and in the process of trying to start recording it, I stripped out my gear puller. I fought with it for a solid, I think, hour and a half last night trying to do it without my gear puller. So I finally got up this morning, went up to the wife's store, did the Lonator gear puller, got it put on, and now I'm going to go ahead, get that line flared, and just run her all the tools back so everything's done. And then probably sometime later today after she gets home, I'm going to try to get it down here on this cross member and get that done. I don't know. But before this video ends, that is going to at least make an attempt to be inside the car. This is taking so much more effort than I had originally planned it to be. Originally planned it to be in this video, not planned it to be in general. I knew this was going to be a bit of work. But yeah, it's not going nearly as smoothly as I hoped. So I thought I had it planned out just a wee bit better than I do. Oh well. I guess I'll make do. Bring you guys back when I'm ready to drop it in. Oh, I have gotten this far. I am not going to lie, I'm struggling to get the motor lined up, but I'm also doing all of it by myself right now. So, not exactly the easiest thing in the world. Trying to move an entire car and an engine and transmission individually from each other to get them in place inside of a car. But I figured I'd show you guys where I'm at before I get any farther, and I forgot to film any more of it. I'm not trying to film me getting the actual engine into the car just because it would be 2-3 hours at this rate, at the rate I'm moving, of just shuffling it back and forth, getting frustrated, stopping, shuffling it back and forth, getting frustrated, stopping, just to get the thing up and in where I need to have it. So I will bring you guys back when I'm a little bit closer. I got to get it to where, if you can see there, you can see where the transmission mount is and where it needs to go. I'm definitely more than a little concerned about that header right now. But we'll see. We'll keep going. Whew. That was some work. It's in, kind of. I have no passenger side motor mount yet because, well, I got to make a passenger side motor mount. And we have discovered there is no way feasible of making this front mount work. It does not fit right. There's no way to make it fit right. And I also have a feeling, with as tight as everything appears to be, I am going to wish I had solid motor mounts front and rear. Matter of fact, I am probably going to figure out a way to at least make one of them solid pretty freaking quick. Probably going to try to make the front one solid at least for the minute. That way, if the engine does rock, it's going to rock forward away from everything and not down into well, no. That might actually make it worse. I don't know. Either way, I've got to figure something out because that header, while it fits, is it close? And it might actually be touching one of the lines for the power steering rack. So I've got to get that figured out. I was thinking maybe if I did it right, I could try spacing up the rear motor mount, maybe. I don't know. I have another engine mount I'm going to try on this. I've got to get a Corolla front mount. That one right there is for Celica. The bolt hole the bolt holes do not line up for the mount. So that mount was not really going to work at any point. And, well, here's what's left of the Corolla mount. So I need to order a new Corolla mount, get that cut off of there, and see if maybe I can drill that one out a little bit and it scooches everything over far enough that it'll work. And we've discovered that to get the engine realistically exactly where I want it, the cross member down here, that's hard to see at the moment, needs notched because it's hitting the oil pan. While I had everything mounted up, it seemed okay, and then once it was in the car, it was definitely not okay. It hits. So I'm going to have to, again, that'll probably be another off-camera thing. I hate saying everything's going to be off-camera, but this is not something, if you've ever paid attention, this is not something many people do, or I've only really ever found one person that's really done this. I went into this knowing there was a way I could mount this transmission in. Did not know if it would mount in with this motor. Had a rough idea it would, because I knew that engine would mount to that transmission, and that transmission with some work would mount to that cross member and into this car. That's all I started off with. So getting this far has been a bit of a chore. I'm happy though. This honestly fits better than I thought it would. And me and the wife, because I didn't think it was going to clear, me and the wife set the hood on the car, which ironically is the first time the hood's been on the car in probably a year and a half. And it does clear the hood, kinda. This coil pack touches the hood. That's it. Everything else clears the hood. Which I find rather amazing. But now that I've got this far, and realistically, hey, I still have tools laying all over the ground. Give myself a freaking heart attack. And now that I'm this far, and the cross member is technically bolted into the car, or K member is bolted into the car, I could start bolting the suspension back together to get this thing down onto the ground. But I've got a few other things I want to do before I get that far. I am going to try my luck with notching this cross member without actually taking it out of the car. I really don't want to have to drop that whole thing because that's going to be a pain to do. I might try ordering a new rear motor mount and stuff first. There's a lot of what ifs still on what's going to exactly work, how it's going to work. Me and the wife were talking about worst case scenario. I think I'm going to try and slot the bolts. See if I can slot the bolt holes a little bit, get them to let the mount slide over. And if I can do that, then that will help me with this whole issue here. I also have two other front engine mounts I'm going to try as well, because I've got the one that's on the car, I've got the one from the original Corolla automatic, and then I have a C-series transmission, which is what would have been the stock manual transmission for this car. I have it sitting over there with the front engine mount on it as well. So I may grab that one and see if maybe the location on it's a little different. I got to thinking about it because one of the articles I had read on the guy that put this particular transmission into a Corolla, that has just dawned on me in the process of putting this all together, was I think Celica, I automatically think 6th gen Celica. That's why I relate everything to. Well, I went back through and reread some of it the other day. He was using parts out of a 93 Celica, and he was working on a 93 Corolla. He had matching years. 93 Celica is the last year for the 5th gen. That has different transmission and engine mounts than a 6th gen does. This is a 6th gen engine or transmission mount. That's a 6th gen transmission mount. And the one thing I did that he said he did was he lightly modified the rear transmission mount from the Corolla. Well, and that's what I did. But that's a rear transmission mount from an automatic Corolla, not a 5-speed Corolla. So I'm thinking I just have the wrong combination of parts, kind of, that compared to what he had. Because I've had to do some trickery to get some of this to work. Like I spaced down this mount a little bit to get it lower into the car. So realistically, if that wasn't spaced, this transmission would be higher, which maybe I need to go through and look at that. Maybe that's where I'm messing some things up. Maybe that shouldn't be that way. But I wanted the transmission lower. I wanted the whole thing lower because I thought if it was lower, then I'd have a little bit better time with some clearance things. But it's looking like maybe that's got the whole thing maybe tweaked a little bit more than it should be. Not 100% sure. That's something I've got to stop and play with. I do know it is touching right here, which means I've got some issues going on somewhere, which could just be the fact that that mount doesn't want to work with the car. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Also, it doesn't help. There's nothing holding this side up at all at the moment because this jack keeps sinking. So, but I think even if I jack this side up, that side doesn't get any better. So I've got, and now the engine doesn't look like it's setting level. So I've got some details and some things to work through and figure out. That's for sure. Maybe I will look into getting some 5th gen Celica transmission mounts. Maybe that's what I need to do. I don't know. So many options. So many ways I can go about this. I'll get it figured out though. All right. So we got some other things we're probably going to tinker with, but this, I don't know. This was the bulk of the video. This is what I wanted you guys to see, was me actually getting the engine in the car. I just hate leaving it off on a, well, it's not done quite the way I would have liked. Well, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm happy though. I know I don't sound happy because I keep bringing up a lot of other things, but man, it is good to see it in the car. But yeah, okay, something else. Okay guys, I think I'm going to end the video on this note this week. As I think realistically this is going to be the second video I'm going to have out in less than a week, I think. Because I decided to make what I was doing 2 videos this week instead of 1. But I'm really happy to get this far. I know it might not sound like it, but I've been trying to get to this point now for 3 years. And there was so many what ifs and so many I don't knows and just little things that I questioned to the point of I killed my motivation on it, that I didn't think I was ever going to do it. Part of me was even thinking about just scrapping the whole idea, selling off some of the stuff to people that was doing other engine swaps, and just scrapping the whole dang thing. But filming it all for you guys has been oddly motivational for me. So I'm going to keep going down that path. I know not a ton of you are watching it, but I don't care. I'm enjoying it. It's making it fun. And I don't know what else to say at this point about it, guys. It might be a minute before we see too many more videos on this because I've got to order some parts, which means I've got to get to work on my new job and make some money before I can order some more parts. So the next video you see might be me throwing the suspension together just to kind of start making it look more complete, because from this point now, I can start working on other things. Like I can start getting the interior dialed in a little bit more again. I can start getting some other engine related things figured out. But this was just this was the starting point. This is where I needed to be to get motivated on this again. And now I can start dialing in other parts. So I can go through and figure out some different motor mounts. I can remake a new front motor mount if need be. I can start making the passenger side mount. I can start figuring out the clutch cable, or not the clutch cables, the shift cables. There's just so much I can do now that I couldn't do. Well, realistically, it's going to look like 5 minutes to you guys, but so much I couldn't do a day and a half ago. Roughly how long I've been trying to get this to this point this week. So I'm very happy about it. But part of me wants to go ahead and ditch the headers, because if I ditch the headers, then I can put on that other front engine mount that I have and start making things a lot more simpler. But I don't know yet. I'm going to keep playing around with it, see if I can figure out a way to make that header clear a little bit better. I think once I notch the cross member and that can drop down a little bit, that maybe it'll move the header away from the firewall a little bit, which will give me a lot more clearance for things. Because if I don't stick with that, I'm going to the same as what I have on the front, which I don't necessarily know is going to give me any more. I think it's just going to move my problems to another spot. I don't think they're actually going to make that big of a clearance issue difference. So part of me even thought about maybe I could try swapping front and rear headers and seeing if maybe that would help some, and just having a whole new front, a whole new white pipe made. I don't know. That's something I didn't toy with enough beforehand. So, but now I'm at a point where toying with that stuff doesn't sound like such a bad idea. So, yeah. I know I sound like I'm rambling, guys, but I'm so happy about this. Alright, that is it for this week. I thank you guys for watching. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you guys have heard a million other YouTubers say all of it, like, share, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Remember, guys, it's not about the destination. It's about the adventure. Get out and have some fun with your cars, fun with your RCs. Have a good weekend.